Territory. Here to discuss former Trump trade and jobs advisor Curtis Ellis and Gibbs Wealth Management CIO Aaron Gibbs. Congratulations, Aaron.
Thank you.
Let me start with you. I pegged this market to be giving up some of these gains in part to something that has nothing to do with this. I'll talk about this. I think it's more Fed related. But your thoughts? That was a whirlwind trip for President Trump in Asia. He did a lot of things. He made a lot of news. I feel like things are on track, and how would Wall Street look at this? In other words, how do you gauge now how to model your portfolio based on where we are now?
So one thing, we've stopped holding our breath, right? There's a bit of a sigh of relief of, okay, at least things are back in the forward momentum of heading towards some resolution. Even though the tariffs are still there, at least we're not worried about it escalating to something worse. We're a little more positive. My concern right now is that there's so much momentum in large cap equities. And I'm telling investors to remember about the small and the mid caps. Because right now, large caps, the valuations are high. And even though things are good, the economic cycle for the U.S. still looks very solid. And I would say that that's where you can actually find more value.
So you're okay with the macro issues, the geopolitical stuff right now, and you're honing in really just on more specific strategy.
Yeah, because I would say right now, since we have a little less risk in the world with at least we're back on track with the tariff war, this is the time where you could go into those riskier assets, particularly the small and mid caps, and they've been so depressed. This is a time to get in. Are
you happy with this all these developments, Curtis?
Oh, yes, very happy. Look, investors need to ask management when or if or it's about time they move their supply chains out of China. And these, with the talks being resumed, back on track, however you want to put it.
Should companies still be working on that then, even though the tariffs have been put on hold?
And now they have more time to do it, thanks that the tariffs have not been put on hold. We still have 25% tariffs. The increased tariffs, yes, have been put on hold, but they could come at any time. You see, by not putting a 90-day deadline, not a 160-day deadline, we're not going to go back to that same old discussion of people thinking, well, in 90 days we're going to have a deal and everything's going to be fine and we'll go back to status quo ante.
When will we have a deal, in your estimation?
When China wakes up and realizes we're not going to put up with them stealing anymore and cheating and hacking.
Even though
so
stealing is an integral part of their goal, of their 2025 goal.
I think you've answered your question,
goals.
Charles. Their entire economic model and the Chinese Communist Party's hold on power depends on the central government controlling the economy. And we're asking them to reform away from theft and cyber hacking. So I don't know when the deal's going to be, but I know that President Trump has made very clear that, and you heard Larry Kudlow, we must rebalance the trade between our two countries, and it will be a great deal or no deal. Businesses have time to move their supply chains out of China. Nowhere is it written that thou shalt have thy supply chains in China.
Real quick, Aaron, then Wall Street, they can live with this a long timeline for this to ultimately get resolved?
Yeah, I think it's really the uncertainty. And even though we've seen a lot of the large corporations, they've revised their profits down for this year, for the next 12 months, from 4.5% to 3.5%. That's a big cut. And that's partially because of these extra costs and the cost of changing your supply chain. But we can live with it as long as we know that it's not going to get even worse.
Okay, let's leave it there. Curtis? Aaron, thank you both very much. Hey, later in the show, Joe Biden's once unshakable grip on the Democratic nomination appears to be over as the race breaks open. Kamala Harris is on the run, and Mayor Pete, he is storming the field. Also, a historic moment for President Trump as he becomes the first sitting president to step into North Korea. That's coming up.